this is near and dear to my heart. So when I was coming up in real estate, I started in 1991, and as I started doing more than the average agent was doing, not just in production, but the way I was able to do more in production was that I was doing more for my customers and clients. And then I went to a seminar and I started tracking my numbers. Not only were I selling more homes, but I was selling homes for sometimes 4 to 6% more than the average agent was selling their listings for, because I was actually implementing marketing. And I kind of figured this out because I wanted to do the marketing I wanted to tell people what I was going to do to market their home proactively to get the listing. And then, because I wanted to follow through and do what I promised I was going to do, I did the marketing. And when I did the marketing, I got better results. I sold my listings faster. I sold them for more money. And I started tracking this. And then one time I was in Leicester. I was in the town of Leicester, and I was sitting at this round glass table in someone's kitchen. And I was explaining them everything I was going to do for marketing. And one of the techniques and strategies that I would use is I would take all my marketing pieces and I would put them together and do them for the house before I got the listing. I would drive by the house 2 days before I was on the listing appointment, take a picture of the house, run to CVS, get it developed to a 3x5, and then glue that picture on a piece of paper. And that was our... Whoops, that's right. And that was the brochure that I made for the house. So when I came out and put that on the table, what do you think they said? Wow, right? And then I would have these little feature cards. They were little tent-sized cards. They were about this big, and I would have all the features of their home and their address on these cards already pre-printed and go to the house, and I would lay them out all over the table. And then I would take the sign that I was going to use for the house and take it out of my car and lean it against my car and bring them to the living room and have them look out the living room window to see the paint reflected sign that I'm going to put in the front yard. And I literally the table was covered with stuff that I was going to do to market the home. I had a brochure box that I was putting on the sign, in the different brochures that would go in the brochure box, and then I had brochures from other properties that I had listed with their address of their property on the back of other people's brochures. So not only was I marketing their home in their front yard, but I was marketing their home in the front yard of 20 other people with all the other listings, right? So when you accumulate these things, people, and I have them all out there on the table, what's the 3-letter word they're thinking? Wow, like that's amazing, right? I'm looking at your eyes right now, you're like, wow, like that's amazing. If I ever did that on a listing appointment, I don't think I'd ever lose one, right? So what happened was the woman stood up on this glass table, and she stood up and she went, wait a minute, what is this gonna cost me? Like 10% or something? And I started, first of all, she scared the heck out of me. And I started laughing, saying, no, it's not 10%, and I didn't know what to say because no one had ever said that to me before. I'm like, But you know what, it showed me the value. It showed me like what I was bringing to the table was so much more. And then I started getting people who were, because I was doing more work and I started attracting a lot of listing appointments, guess what I did? I raised my prices. I raised it from, at the time, the average was about 6%, and I raised it to 7% across the board. And I was able to get it, and I was still able to provide my clients with more money in their pocket, even after they paid me 7, because they were paying my competitors 6. So because I was doing more, I could justify charging more. And because I was getting better results, I could justify charging more. When my brother first got his license to practice law and became a lawyer, his average fee for service when he first got his license to practice law was $150 an hour. Now it's $300. Why? Because he knows what he's doing now. Right? He's self-employed just like all of us, and now he can command a higher fee because he's worth it. Now, what are the two things that happened to those two scenarios that I just mentioned? I'm just using me and my brother as an example. What happened? What happened to us psychologically?
You grew confident.
I grew confident, yes, because we took action, right? So one of the secrets is, and we're not going to be able to spend enough time on this one subject, so I'm having a session next Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's in your training calendar, and it's called How to Have a Kick-Ass Mindset. That's literally the name of the title. And we're going to spend an hour helping you work on your mindset and why you're thinking the way you think and how to control the way you think so that you can command higher prices, so that you can get more listings. So any limiting beliefs you have, you can literally squash them. We all have them. We're all normal. We're all humans. There is a scientific, specific way to train your brain to think differently than you are right now. Because sometimes when I mention things, and I'm going to say things today that are going to go against your belief system, you're not going to be okay with it. Some of you might feel uncomfortable doing or saying some of the things I'm going to show you today. And the reason being is that we have all bought into our own lies that we tell ourselves. Ooh, that sounds kind of brutal. Your own lies? I'm lying to myself? So what happens is you have an experience, and then with that experience, you make a story. So let's say you go on a listing appointment, and someone just beats you up on the commission. And you tell them, I'm going to sell it for 6 bananas, and they say, well, I'm only going to do it for 4. If you don't do it for 4, and they're yelling at you at the table. And now you have this experience, right? And you leave that place, and you don't get the listing. And now you have a new story that you can tell yourself in your mind. And what happens is you buy into it, and then after that, the second phase is you start justifying it by finding evidence and proof around you that you're right, because we want to be right. So what happens is you go on another appointment, or you tell someone else, and they say, oh yeah, yep, that's the way it is. Yeah, you can never do that. Don't ever do that again. And then you tell yourself this, and then you start believing it. That's the problem, is when you believe it. You believe the lie. Versus, let's say you go in and you have an experience where you ask for a 6% fee for service, and the seller says, gee, 6%, that's all? I mean, I'll tell you what, if you can get this sold in 30 days, I'll give you 7. And you go, wow. Now you walk away. Now what's your story? What's the lie you're believing in now? That it's what? It's different than the first experience, right? But if you had the first experience and you hold on to that, it can stay with you for the rest of your life. We have all had experiences as children that we're still holding on to for the rest of our lives based on the stories we tell us and the limiting beliefs that we have. So that's one of the things I'm going to challenge you on, is that I probably should have had that class first and then did this one. We'll kind of do it in reverse order. But you'll appreciate that. But you'll be able to take this information and be able to use it. All right, so let's jump into the nitty-gritty. You ready? So what we're going to do is, we're first going to start with a disclaimer, okay? Because people say, oh, and the reason why I don't think more trainers and instructors and professional coaches in our industry don't talk about this subject is because they think it's taboo. They think that you're not supposed to talk about that. Well, it's perfectly fine to talk about commissions, but here are the details. There are no set commissions. Commissions are what? Negotiable. They're negotiable. They're negotiable up as well as down, right? Think about that. Commissions are negotiable. Agencies cannot set rates. I can't call another real estate company, or neither can you, and say, hey, let's all decide to do this. That's the illegal part that you learned about, okay? Now, brokerages can have policies. It's perfectly fine for a real estate brokerage to say, our fee is blank, and that's what we're going with, okay? So what is happening? Well, there are commission wars going on right now. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
People are slapping each other around and beating each other up based on pricing, right? They're competing
Hungry
on
for
pricing.
the listings. Yeah.
Now, do you know one of the reasons why consumers are shopping you based on price?
Because it works.
Yeah. What are they thinking? Why are they doing that?
Anybody
Yes.
can sell
They
it.
don't
Right.
understand your value.
Yes, Brian's got it. They don't understand your value, and to add to that, they think you're a commodity. What's a commodity?
That all realtors are the same.
They're all the same.
Do the same thing.
And what do? They all do the same thing.
So get the cheapest one.
Yeah, Right, it makes sense.
And they think anybody can sell a house in this market. You just have to put a sign out, and you're gonna have multiple above asking price offers.
Yes, very, very true. You guys are good.
Unless your target expires.
That's true too, yes, very good point, yes. So we have more agents in a hot market. This is always a phenomenon I thought was very, very interesting. In a hot market, who is it hot for?
Sellers.
For sellers. So is it a hot market for buyers?
Terrible.
No.
market
No.
for buyers.
So why do they call it a hot market? I just never really understood that, right? It's a hot seller's market, right? But what happens is it gets out in the world, in the ether, right? And people hear that it's a hot market. So what happens in a hot market invariably every single time, because I've been at this for 30 years, I see it happen every single time, is people will, and their brothers and their cousins get a what?
License.
Get a real estate license, right? And then they say this, I'm going to try real estate. And they all get in, and they all sell one or two houses. And that's one or two fewer homes that would have been available to you, but that went to them in the marketplace. So it's more competition. There are more agents in the marketplace right now competing for the same piece of pie, right? It's very, very interesting. I love it when the market goes down. I love it. I've sold more homes, more transactions in a down market than in an up market, hands down, because there's inventory to sell. People say to me, wow, you guys must be making a killing now, huh? I said, listen, let's pretend I'm a Nike store owner and everyone loves Nike shoes and basketball teams want to buy them from me and my prices are competitive and that's great. And I have a store in every city, in every spot in all of New England. But I can't buy any inventory to sell to my customers and clients. Am I killing it right now, or am I struggling a little bit? We have our challenges, right? So it's interesting. So we have low inventory. Homes are selling faster, right? So to Brad's point, well, what money are you spending on marketing? Why do you need to charge a higher fee if you're not spending money on marketing, selling faster? How about this? We talked about negative mindset, right? Any of you guys know these two guys right here, right? The trivia question, who were they doing this to in the movie?
Aerosmith?
Oh, no.
That was the girl, right?
Nope. It was Alice Cooper.
Alice.
Yeah. A little bit of trivia for you. We're not worthy. So this mindset that we have, we're not worthy, because we're buying into this stuff, right? It's a hot market, there's low. These are the stories we're telling ourselves to justify paying a lower fee. And it really comes down to not being worthy. And like Brian said earlier, a lot of us, we don't know our value. So if you are a commodity right now, what do you have to do to make yourself not a commodity?
Stand out.
Stand out. How do you stand out?
Do things differently.
Do things differently. My first manager in 1991, his name was George Meservey. He said to me, John, the best way to compete is don't compete. Do things differently, right? Do more. If everyone's doing open houses, do something different. I go on my listing appointments, they say, so when are you going to have the open house? I said, open house? Who said, who's doing open house? What do you mean? I said, oh no, we have a strategy that's way better than open houses. Let me explain to you how it works. And I go through the details and they go, oh. And then they say, what? Wow, yeah, okay, that's how we get better results. Positive mindsets. I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. I remember my oldest child now was having some trouble spelling. And so I did a little thing with him because I was going through some personal self-motivation and personal self-development programs with Tony Robbins and all these things. And we would sit down, he would practice his spelling words, and every time he got one wrong, we would, every time he got one wrong, I would ask him to spell it correctly 3 times. Write it on paper 3 times correctly. And every time he got one right, we would run over to the mirror that was in the room, and I would grab his little elbows, and I'd make him point his thumbs like this, and I'd have him point to himself, and I'd pull his arms like this because he thought it was the silliest thing, stupidest, silliest thing in the world. He didn't want to do it with me. And then I said, say it with me. Say, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. And then we'd run over to the table, and we'd practice more words. But it made it more fun and interesting for me and for him. And the other affirmation that I would do with him in the mirror is I would say, I'm a great speller. So every time he got one wrong, in addition to spelling it right, we'd go over to the mirror, and I'd take his little thumbs and his arms and his elbows, and I would say, I'm a great speller, I'm a great speller, right? And so what I'm doing, am I brainwashing him? Am I reconditioning him, yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we do that to ourselves every day, all the time, about all different things. We're constantly managing our mindset. So the key is to have a positive mindset. One of the best ways to do this, and I'll give you the shortcut right now in a couple sentences, is saying the opposite of the negative feelings that you're having out loud with conviction.
Say that again. Saying the opposite.
So you get a thought or a feeling when you do something down, right?
Yeah.
When you go on a listing appointment and you're having a negative thought about anything, no matter what it is.
Saying the opposite.
All you do is write it down and then say the opposite feeling, and then you have to say it out loud with conviction. And if you really want to nail it, you do it right when you wake up and right when you go to bed, and you have it literally a piece of paper on your bed. For months, I kept a journal next to my bed, and it was just positive thoughts, positive thoughts. One of the things I used to say, that I still say it every now and then, and I say it to my family only, is every time I do something and it works, I always go like this. I say, look at that, I'm a genius. Look at that. I say it out loud. And if you ask any of my kids, they say, what is your father? I'll say, he's a genius. See, not only did I condition myself, right, but I conditioned them too to think that at the same time. But, it wasn't fun, but, at the same time, it's to combat any negative feelings that you're having. Just say the opposite out loud with conviction. That's how you solve it. I'm the best. I'm the best. Here's some things that don't work. Are you ready? When you have the commission objection, here's things that don't work. Handling it over the phone. Handling over the phone does not work. When people say to you on the phone, well, before you come out and meet with me, Lika, I want to know, what do you charge? Why are they asking you that question?
They want to screen you out.
They want to screen you out, right?
Yes.
Yes. I like this one. I don't know. If it's a real dump, I might have to charge you 10%. I don't know.
Quick. I'm the best.
Exactly, yeah. They want to pre-screen you, right?
Yeah.
So what are some things you can say when they ask you that over the phone?
I don't know. I haven't seen your house yet.
I don't know. I haven't seen your house yet. Perfect, right? That's a great one. So I love that. I think that's
That works
the
for
be-
everything,
I
too.
thi- it-
Pricing,
Yes.
That's a Sheldon.
Shelley, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, Floyd Wickman. That's a Floyd Wickmanism.
Gee, I
Yes.
don't know. Why don't we get together?
Yes. Yeah, I haven't seen your house yet. If it's a real dump, I might have to charge you 10%. And I really don't know. If I go to the house and they're willing to price it below fair market value, and they have to sell it in a week, and it's absolutely mint in condition and it's staged perfectly, maybe I will make an adjustment. I don't know. I haven't seen the house yet, right? Okay? So do not try to handle it over the phone. Talking about it before presenting your value, to Brian's point, he really keyed in on that. Was awesome. So when we take the Floyd Wickman course, what do they talk about when in regard to price? What are one of the rules that they have? Never talk about blank until they're sold on blank and you're blank. Do you remember?
You and your company.
Yes.
Until
Never.
they're sold on you and your company.
Never talk about price until they're sold on you and your company first. So I have people try to squirm away sometimes, and I always bring them back. So what I'll do is I'll present, to Brian's point, the value of me and my company first. And then I'll talk about the brokerage fee. Sometimes they stop me in the middle, and what do they ask me? Wait, John, what do you charge, right? And you know what I say to them? This isn't in your notes, so if you want to write this down. I say, listen, You're on page 12, I'm still on page 7. We're gonna get there. And they always laugh. Even the most ornery, mean people on the planet, they always laugh when I say that. They think it's funny, and I don't know, it works. It lightens the mood, and I tell them, I'm going to get to that. You know, one of the tips too I'll give you as a free bonus that's not in the slides either or in this agenda is that I talk about the brokerage fee as part of my presentation. Some agents don't bring it up at all and hope that they don't ask. You ever done that? You ever been on a listing presentation? You're like, God, I hope they don't ask me what the commission say. And then you say, all right, I'm going to send over the paperwork, and then you send it over to them via dot loop, and you hope they don't call you back, or you hope that they sign it, right? See, what you want to do is you want to present it with pride, as if you're proud to present the brokerage fee. And once you stack your value and then you show them what you charge, you should be proud that this is all you charge for all this stuff. They're getting huge value for what they're paying, right? Yes, James.
I know you pulled me aside and talked about your flex.
Yes.
And so I incorporated that, so.
Yes.
I don't know if you're gonna talk about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That was-
I call it my secret weapon.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I have 6 secret weapons I'm going to share with you today. James already knows about this. He's getting you got a preview.
No.
He's on page 12.
Yeah.
I'm only on slide 7. You're on slide 12. So talking about it before, what was the quote? Never what before what? Never talk about what?
Never talk about price until they are sold on you and your company.
Yes. So then what happens is the conversation will go like this. Well, what do you charge? I said, well, let me ask you, before we get into the pricing of the house and my brokerage fee and all that, do you have any questions about me and my company? And I'll answer any questions. And I'll say, okay, based on everything you've seen so far, if we could agree on price, would you hire me and my company? It's a trial close. If they say no, I say, okay, great. Let me ask you, what is it that's causing you to give it some thought right now? Why? And what I like to say to people is, what do I have to explain to and show you to make this an absolute no-brainer to hire me and my company? I love saying that quote. What do I have to show you and tell you to make this an absolute no-brainer for you to hire me and my company? And then they will tell you, hopefully. Hopefully they won't lie to you. Sometimes people will give you a line, sometimes, but mostly they'll be honest. And I've had some people say, well, listen, it really depends on the price. I said, all right, but if we can agree on the price, though, are you happy with everything else? And then they'll say something like this, well, to be honest with you, John, you brought me out to my living room window, you made me look out the window at that sign leaning out against your car over there. I don't want a sign in my house at all. Like, I don't want my neighbors to know I'm going to sell it. I say, okay, well, let's talk about that. Why? What's the problem? What's bothering you about it? Why are we going to eliminate that type of marketing? Sometimes they'll say, John, I want you to accompany the showings. I want whoever is going to be my agent, I want that agent to accompany showings. And I say, all right, well, let's talk about that. And what they're doing is they're putting out objections. And now you can handle those objections. That's another class. Be happy to role play and answer any questions if we have time at the end of this as well. So anything you want to throw at me, I'm happy to handle. The next thing is winging it, or when you wing it, you're planning to fail. Like, don't wing it. Go in there prepared. Okay. So things that don't work is when you say this. They don't care about your office. They don't care about your policy. Most importantly, they don't care about you.
Right.
What do they care about?
Yeah. No, what is that, WIIF?
Yes, what's in it for me, the radio station, right? Yes, WIIFM. Things that don't work. When you get nervous when they ask, that doesn't work. Next, a weak reaction when they ask. I've listened to some agents that I've accompanied agents on listings, and when this comes up, they start stuttering. But they didn't stutter before. They only stuttered when this came up. So you have to increase your confidence. Now, what's the best way to do that?
Practice.
Practice and affirmations. Say them out loud with conviction, right? Apologetic tone of voice. Listen to this. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on everything I've shown you to get your property sold, would you be interested in hiring me and my company if we could agree on price? And they say, yeah, everything looks good. Okay, and then they say, well, what's your commission? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Let me share with you right now. My commission it's
a little
10%.
It's a little higher.
And you get this, that doesn't work.
No.
But I'm
Your tone of
flexible.
voice. Now, here's an apologetic tone of voice also, and if you want to learn more about voice inflection, especially if you're over the phone or even if you're in person in front of your clients, when your voice tone goes up at the end of a sentence, like that, you know, some people do that all the time, and you're like, that person's kind of annoying, and you don't know why. It's because their voice keeps going up at the end of a sentence, and I'm a valley girl, right? Right? And so that is that's just showing weakness in insecurity in people that are unsure, right? So if you're confident, what should your voice sound like?
I'm all set.
Yep. Kind of like what James just said about the brownies. I'm all set. He didn't
all
say
set?
I'm all set. I think I want one. I think maybe. No, he was
I'm
sure.
like- I'm
He was
like-
definitive.
Yes, he was.
He's not hesitating.
Absolutely. Wait, there's more things that don't work? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Getting offended. What? What? Ugh, that doesn't work.
How dare you ask?
Working only new clients. What does that mean?
No spear?
Right?
Okay.
If you're only working with new people and they don't know you, what's the opposite of a new client?
Old clients.
A what?
Old.
Old client. Yeah, I like that. Yes, yes.
Repeat.
A repeat client.
Spear.
Sphere. And what else? What's a third one?
Referral.
A referral, yes. If they're referred to you, if you're working on referrals and you're doing a good job for people and they're referring people, right? And they're happy with your services, when you work with referrals, you don't get this objection that often.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yep, right.
Going back to my brother again, I just referred him to an agent for a legal matter, and she didn't ask how much he charges. It was a referral. Like, she trusts that it's going to be okay. Why would I refer her to someone that wouldn't, right?
I don't know if I want to go to the cheapest attorney available anyway.
Yeah, exactly, yes. Weakness and desperation. Now, you've heard the saying, fake it until you what? Fake it until you make it, right? So there are when I started out in real estate, and there were a couple times during my real estate career that I was weak and desperate. I'll be honest with you. Okay, I'll raise my hand and say that there were a couple of times where I was struggling a little bit, right? And do you think people can sense it?
Blood in the water.
The blood of the water, right? So,
Commission breath.
yeah, commission breath. You got it.
What is it called? Commission what?
Commission breath.
Never heard that.
Yeah.
Commission, bro.
Things that don't work. Competing. We already talked about this, didn't we? What was the point about that?
To be different.
Don't compete.
Yeah, don't compete.
Oh, I'll do-
Stop doing what everyone else is doing. That doesn't work.
Don't even show the house.
Yeah. Just don't even do it. Yeah. Here's the best way to handle
Lock
it.
it down.
Here's the best way. Handle it before they ask. My entire presentation is built around handling objections before they come up. When I do my presentations, and you all have a copy of my presentation both on video and you have it as a PowerPoint slide in your onboarding checklist, right? When you go through it, if you notice, like, I'll ask people at the end of the presentation, do you have any questions? Most every time they always say no. And do you know why?
You already answered them?
I've already handled all the major, they said, geez, John, you know, it seems, they've got this list, and they say that they found online, all the questions that they should ask an agent before they hire them. And they go, you know what, honestly, you've answered every question I've had. And they look at their spouse and they go, oh, look at that, pretty good. They didn't even have to ask me, right? A good presentation will handle all objections up front, so you don't get any objections. Here's the best way to handle it. Offer what kind of value? Insane! Crazy prices. Come down to Crazy Eddie's appliance sale, right? Give more than they expect. Do more than they expect. When you make an appointment with someone at 2 o'clock, what do they expect?
You'd be there at 2 o'clock.
Nope, they expect that you're gonna be late, because everyone usually is. Now, is it okay to be early? Say no.
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 Not even 5 minutes?
9 and 5 minutes, can you guess why?
They're not ready.
Ready for you.
Exactly. What do you think they're doing before a real estate agent comes over their house?
Cleaning
up.
They are running around like crazy, then they're sweating, then they need to take a shower, and they're coming out.
Throw everything in the
Like,
closet.
being early sometimes is worse than being late, so never, ever, ever be early. Be what?
On time.
On time. Now, you can pull up to the neighborhood 5-10 minutes early, right? Maybe even drive around the neighborhood, drive around a couple comparable properties that have sold early, right? So avoid any traffic issues. And then knock on the door, and you say, "Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'm John. I'm with XYZ Real Estate Company. We had an appointment at 2 o'clock, and it is 2 o'clock. How are you doing today? Great. I love your flowers. Did you plant these yourself, or do you have a professional landscaper, or whatever it is?" And then just start in from there. But always give more than they
You just did
expect.
something that was part of the training, give a compliment.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right.
Yep,
Always
absolutely.
give a compliment.
Yes, a sincere one.
They
Yes,
get to that kitchen table.
that's right.
Yeah.
To the kitchen table.
Stage left.
Earn trust by doing what you say you're going to do, sometimes more, but never less. Okay? Best way to handle it. What do you think this means?
Means come with the commission already typed out on a piece of paper.
In the paperwork, either on dot loop or
Oh, yeah. don't
on
do it.
paper.
Yeah.
And what I used to do years ago, prior to Dot Loop, is I owned a typewriter. And I only used the typewriter for one number, and that's it. And what I would do is I would very carefully take the piece of paper and I would roll it into the typewriter. For you young kids, you have to roll the paper in and roll it up. And then I would turn it to the left, turn it to the right, back and forth, and I would line it up just perfect. And then I would hit 7, right in the exact spot of the exclusive right to sell agreement. Okay? And so it looked like it was part of the printing. It looked like it was not what?
Tucked in.
Yeah, it was not negotiable, right? Because here's what my competitors would do. They'd go to the listing appointment, and then they would have this, they'd have the form, and this is what they would do.
Stop for a minute.
They have words, a line, in words, right? And here's what they would do. They would go like this. And they're in front of the client now, and they're nervous, and they agreed on the price, $379,900. Okay, that's the asking price we're gonna work with. And then we get to this spot right here, and then they do one of these, and they go, starting to write a 6, and then they go,
Whoa, 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 too high.
they go like that. The 6 turned into a 5 all of a sudden. You got weak in a weak moment, right? You got nervous, you got scared. I mean, if my form is typed in with this in it, right, and it's typed, and I want to do this, if I want to go like this, I said, you know what? Based on the fact that you want to price it below fair market value, the property is perfectly staged, and you're not asking me to do any marketing on it because you're a professional photographer and you're going to do everything, I can do this. 6.89%. Here's another point that's not in the slides. I'll give you another bonus. There's a lot of numbers in between numbers. Think about that. It doesn't have to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. It doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, we should use the same mindset when we list the price of a house, We always
Yeah.
don't put, well, I don't know about everyone else, but I never put like, ones, I always put like a 6.89, so it just looks like you put more thought into it.
Yes.
You don't put, say 1,000,000, you put,
Yes.
whatever it is, 700.
Yeah, exactly.
John, the pre-type thing has bitten me in the butt a couple times.
How? Talk to me about that.
They thought they were gonna pay more
How do you
than
mean?
what I had in the, that I had
Oh,
pre-typed.
Put a one in
interesting.
front of it.
So what does that tell you, Brad?
I was
Let's.
pissed.
So what would you give Brad for advice, guys? He had it pre-typed in. They thought they were going to pay more. What should Brad do?
Kick himself.
Put an 8 in it. You're gonna raise your price.
Kick himself in the ass.
You clearly demonstrated more value
How
there
long ago was
that they
that,
were
Brian?
willing to pay.
Like, not recent, was it?
Within the last 6 months.
But what was it that, and you, like, what was the number that you had in there? If you don't mind sharing that with us.
I don't know if I can share that, but it was a lower number.
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
a lower number, and they thought they were gonna pay more.
You
Yes.
wanted to pay 3 and you gave 2?
Yep. Yeah.
That was already,
that's-
but it was
but-
already typed out, I already had a sheet
Yes.
in my presentation,
So
so I
type-
couldn't change it at that point.
So type it higher. No, you couldn't, you're right.
I'm curious how we
No.
arrived at 5, like, just like, how.
Well, I can
how-
tell,
How do we,
well, how do we,
why
how is it,
5 the-
how has the average broker fee been 6% for over 100 years? Because less than that, you can't make a profit. I mean, if you really, really break down your time, energy, effort, and out-of-cost expense that you have when you list and sell a property, anything less than that, and you're taking a hit. You know, I'm gonna talk about this in a few minutes, but when you give away a portion of your brokerage fee, that's the money that you were gonna use to pay your taxes with. That's the money that you were gonna use, that's the only money left that was your profit. Some agents reduce their brokerage fee so much and do so much work, they literally would have made more money per hour handing out stickers at Walmart at the front door, per hour. I mean,
I've
it's
seen some
scary.
low, some really low ones,
Yeah,
really low.
I mean, so anyway, pre-type. Get genuinely excited about it. When they bring up, oh, so what do you charge? I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you asked. Let me show you. Oh, this is gonna be great. Let me show you this. Get genuinely excited about showing the brokerage fee. Because when I show them the brokerage fee, I really know in my heart of hearts, I'm like, these people are gonna love this. Because in their mind, they're thinking, this is gonna cost me a lot of money, right? And then when you show them that it's not, they're pleasantly surprised. Internalize your what to say, okay? By practicing your scripts and dialogues, and I'm gonna give you a handful of them today. This is the portion of the class I call Wake Up. Clients know this, less equals less. If I pay $3,000 for a car, do you think I expect it to last me 10 years, yes or no?
No.
Because what did I pay for it? I mean, don't think that they don't know that. They know that. Sometimes you have to remind them that you know that, and sometimes you need to remind them of this. But everyone knows this, so this should give you the confidence moving forward. What you get, they get what they pay for. You ever heard that saying before? You get what you pay for? They know that. You're a negotiator and a marketer. If I handle your money this way, how good? If I handle my money this way, how good am I going to be at handling your money? You're not just hiring a real estate agent. You're not hiring a commodity. You're not hiring someone to stick a sign in the yard and put it in the multiple listing service. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you could honestly do that yourself. You don't need me. You don't need anyone to do that. What you need, what you're hiring me for, is you're hiring a professional negotiator and a professional marketer. Now let me show you how I do this for you. If you're interviewing lawyers to defend you in court, do you want a wimp or do you want a pit bull? So why would you want anything less when negotiating the largest investment of your life, which is your house? Don't you want someone to have that has the guts and the skills to go to bat for you? Doesn't that make sense? Yeah, okay. What's the difference? So what's the difference between 5% and 6%?
1%.
On 100, okay, yeah. All right.
She's sharp.
Now, I love that you said that. You set me up perfectly for this. You ready? This is great. What's the difference between, on a $100,000 property, it's 5,000. On that same property, 6% is 6,000. What's the difference? Okay, so I've heard two things, 1% and I've heard $1,000, but I'm looking for another number.
You looking for a number?
Yes. I'll give you a hint. Do the math. What's the difference between 5 and 6%
Looking for a
of the sale
percentage?
price? Yes.
I don't know what the percentage is, but I don't know, I'm guessing what, 20, 30%?
$1,000?
Is it 20 to 30%?
It's 16.6667% difference. If you take the difference between $5,000 and $6,000,
Yeah.
if I wanted to sell you a watch at K Jewelers and it was $6,000, and I gave you 17% off on the watch, you'd buy it for $6,000. But you see how you're conditioned to think it's only what?
1%.
It's not.
$1,000.
It's not. So when you do the math, you're taking close to a 17% cut in pay. Are you following me on this?
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
huge, right? So the seller who goes to seller training school comes to you and says, Brad, it's only 1%. I mean, come on. And then you can now say what?
17%.
It's close to 17%. Let me ask you a question, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. If you had to go to work on Monday morning and your boss said, hey, by the way, I'm going to cut your salary by 17%, how would you feel about going to work that day? Would you feel excited about giving your best, or would you want to look for another job? You see, when you ask me to cut my fee by 17%, you're forcing me to want to go look for another job. I don't want to do that. I want to help you. But I can't do it if you tie my hands and I don't have enough money to help get all the marketing done. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's not 1%. Get that out of your head. Isn't that a cool thing to know?
Yeah.
No one's ever brought that to your attention before, have they? It's pretty powerful, right? Wake up, know your value, make a stand, be strong. Your last brokerage fee that you received pays for the future marketing of your next listing. Think about that. I'm trying to give you guys a new mindset to envelop here. You have to be consistent with this and ongoing. You can't just go up and down, back and forth. The more you know, and here's what I say to people. I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, Marlene and I work together as a team, and we have no debt. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm sharing something so personal in nature with you or in a business setting. However, it's important that you know this, that most real estate agents don't have money to pay their taxes. I know because I've managed hundreds of real estate agents in my career, and it's a real problem. Most agents don't have the money to provide the expert marketing that your home deserves and what it needs, and they're borrowing and they're putting it on their credit card, and they haven't paid their taxes yet, and they're struggling right now. We can pay for, because we live within our means, and we save our money and we put our money aside to spend on the marketing of your property. We have the funds to be able to do this, and it's important that you know that, because if it takes more than a month to get your property sold and we have to continue marketing it, I want you to have the confidence in knowing that we have the strength and the ability and the funds to do whatever it takes to get your home sold. Does that make sense? It's kind of something that, you know, it may or may not be true for all the agents they interview, but it certainly could be, right? It's important. You bring up something. I'm not saying anything negative about anyone else. I'm just bringing up a positive point in that regard. And listen, there were times where I did have to put marketing on a credit card. I had to, you know.
Do you ever say, well, you know, I don't get the whole amount, I mean, I have to pay the brokerage fee, it goes to marketing, and I split that with the buyer's agent, I don't get.
I normally don't have to go down that road, but that is something that you can say where, you know.
I've done that once.
Yeah. To help them realize.
Yeah,
They're like,
you know, I don't get, you know.
that handling that objection is, the title of that objection handling technique is called appealing to their morals. Where you show them that here's 6, and look, 3 goes to them, 1.5 goes to my broker, I'm left with 1.5, this half has to go to Uncle Sam, I'm left with 1, and you want to take that off my commission? I don't think so. Like, this is the only thing left for me, and you want to take it? I'm working for nothing at that point. That's called appeal to their morals. And it works well if you have actual dollar bills and you do it with the dollar bills.
I like it in the CMA too, John. I think you did that in the CMAs.
Yes,
where you
yes, I
kinda-
did.
you-
Oh, thank you,
On
Brad.
the final CMA, kind of the net page.
Yeah, the net
So it's
sheet.
all split down to like.
Yes, the net sheet, what I do is when you have a net sheet for a client and you put the brokerage fee in there, a lot of people just put that big $20,000 in there.
Yeah.
But what I did is I broke that $20,000 into 4 separate areas. I wrote listing broker, listing agent, selling broker, selling agent, and so it's 5, 5, 5, 5 all the way down the line. Thank you for bringing that up, Brett, yeah. That's a good technique, and just, it shows them that, this is where the money's going, right? So thank you both for bringing that up. Yeah, your last brokerage fee pays for your future marketing and your taxes. More math, average sale price. Compare your average sale price to list price to your competitors or to the market. And if yours stinks, use your offices. And if your offices stink, well, change offices. No. Your average commission per side, 2% versus 3%, right? Do the math. Your transactions per year. Have all that stuff ready when you go out and you talk to them. Working with buyers, agents working harder for less. Is that happening right now?
Yes.
Yeah. I met with an agent the other day. They had a buyer who was going out and found a for sale by owner. The agent showed the for sale by owner the house, didn't get a contract with the buyer or the lister, or the seller, and was out of a deal. And basically, the buyer wanted to buy. The agent wrote the offer and said, well, what do I do now? How do I get paid? I'm like, you're screwed. Like, nothing.
So
if no one wants to pay you, they don't have to pay you.
It wasn't on an MLS?
No contract, no exclusive right to sell contract. No.
So they were the buyer showing houses without an agreement?
Yeah, no loyalty agreement. I call it a loyalty agreement. We were meeting with some folks, and by the way, the mortgage company who were going to be make a short presentation at 2 o'clock. I'm gonna have them get ready. Yeah, they're gonna just come in a few minutes. I see them mulling around in the parking lot. But the loyalty. So I did a buyer presentation on behalf of one of the agents that works in our office, a new agent, and she's new to it. And I said, listen, I'll do it with you. I'll point you out as the resident expert in this area, and I will make the presentation with you. And they asked, the sister was online with the brother. The brother's buying the house. They're both from California. She says, wait a minute, is this a law? Like, why does he have to sign a contract with you? She goes, my mother was a real estate broker for over 30 years, and my mother always told us that you never get a contract until it closes. Like, why would anyone sign a contract? I said, well, it's because of loyalty. She goes, yeah, but my mother, she worked with people all the time and never got paid. And I'm thinking, yeah. Well, because I don't want to insult the mom. And I said, listen, everyone does business a little differently. And, buyer agency and the time and the energy, it's all involved right now. I said, listen, it's not a law. It's just the way that we personally prefer to do business. It's our preference to do it this way. And because it's our preference to do it this way, then I'm going to ask that we sign what's called a loyalty agreement. And she was like, okay, well, do we have to do that? I'm like, well, listen, your alternative is that you can work with a bunch of different agents. You don't have to work with us. You can work with a bunch of different agents, but unfortunately, those agents don't have any loyalty to you. And if you want one agent to really work hard for you, then you pick one agent and you give them their loyalty. But if you tell 10 agents, hey, find me a house, and here's the other thing, there's no advantage in doing that to you because all agents have access to the same information. So there's no advantage in you going out to 10 different agents. If that's the route you'd like to take, I totally understand, but we would not be the company that would be working with you in that capacity. Does that make sense? I said, I'll be honest with you. I said, we don't get paid by the hour. We only get paid when something sells, and we prefer to only work with people that we know are going to be compensated for. I'm sure you can understand. Wouldn't you feel the same way if it were you? If you were an agent today, wouldn't you want to do that? You wouldn't want to work for free, would you? That's how I handled it. So I didn't insult the mom, but I mean, come on, really?
That's a good point.
She worked for free all the time.
Yeah. She was an unpaid Uber driver. Success fee for service. Change the word. Stop calling it a commission.
I like that.
My commission is what? Call it a fee for service. Success fee for service. Even in our exclusive buyer agency agreements, it says success fee. It doesn't say commission. Is blank, and put it in there. All right, moving on. Start charging a retainer fee for buyers now too. Charge them $500 and say, listen, I'm going to charge you $500, and I'm going to charge. If I had to work with a buyer today, I swear to God, if I had to work with a buyer today, I would say is a $500 retainer. It's a retainer because I'm going to give you that money back once you close on the property. We can put it towards your closing costs. And for every offer that you ask me to write, it's $97. I can show you how to write your own offers, and I'll submit them for you. I'll review them and submit them, and it's no fee at all. Which option would you like to go? $97, I write them, or $0 and you write the offers? Which option would you like to go? All right, I'll need a check made out to Century 21 for $500, and again, it's returned upon closing on a property. Now, some buyers are going to what?
Run.
They're going to run.
Yeah.
And how am I going to feel?
Good.
Yay! Or maybe I have not demonstrated my value enough, right? So why is it best for the client? Well, you tell me. Why is it best for the client? If you're a buyer agent. Yes.
You're loyal to them.
I'm loyal to them, absolutely. Very good point. And it is in their best interest, right? Okay, remember, sellers pay commissions in direct proportion to the services that they receive. All right, so let's handle this. Here's how we're going to handle the objections. You ready? And what I'd like to do is be a little corny and have a little fun with you. I wrote these out. If you want to look on your paper or if you want to look at the screen, and rather than role playing, because I know everyone hates role playing, we're just going to read it out loud real quick. And here's how I want you to read it out loud. What I want you to do, I want you to read it as quickly as you possibly can, so that you sound like ridiculously fast. Because when you speak faster and you say it out loud, you're going to retain it more. And I swear, I promise you, after today's class and after reading these objections really fast and out loud, you're already taking a huge step to remembering these dialogues. And if we put 5 or 6 of them through right now, you're going to remember one of them. You're going to be in an appointment 3 weeks from now, and one of these things are going to pop in your head, and you're going to be like, all right, I got this, right? So here we go. All right, so this one's called Appealing to Their Morals. There's another one, right? So let's all read this together really loud and begin. Let's imagine that when you go to the work tomorrow, your boss asks you to take a cut in pay and still work as hard as you do now. How would you feel?
You people.
Give me some ammunition. Ready? Begin. Let's pretend that when you arrive at work tomorrow, your boss offers you a 16% bonus if you work harder for the rest of the week. Would you get excited and take her up on the offer? Right?
Yeah.
You can say that one. Next one. MLS Code. Ready? Begin. You see, real estate agents are real people. They have families to provide for, mortgages to pay. They have the same types of bills and responsibility that everyone else does. Doesn't it make sense that agents will work harder for you if you give them a reason to do so? Great. So let's raise the fee instead of lowering it so we can give more to the buyer agent and get all the agents excited. That way, I'm not the only one that's excited about selling your home. Everyone else is too.
10%.
And they're like, and then they were like, oh, wait a minute, I don't know. So when they go low, you can go high sometimes.
Yeah.
And they say, well, I'm thinking, we should do less. I said, that's weird, because I was thinking, I was going to ask you to do more. What? And maybe you'll settle on what's fair. We'll put it that way. Who knows? On their behalf. You ready? Go. If I negotiate my own money that way, what do you think I'm apt to do with yours? Let me ask you this. Would you prefer to hire an agent who is going to negotiate the price down when an offer comes in, or is going to negotiate the buyer's price up?
That's right.
Ooh, that's
So
a
if you
good one.
can't sell them, how are you gonna, handle their objections? How are you gonna handle buyer's objections?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ready? Next one. Go.
If
If I can negotiate the buyer's price up just 1%, then that would be more than make up the difference between my fee and another agent's, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on the difference of the fee, right? Next one. The last agent only charged blank. Here's what you say when they say that. No, he didn't. He charged $0 because he didn't get the home sold.
I used that one. I used that one on somebody.
You did?
Yeah, he's like, oh, the last guy only charged. He did charge you. I said, but you didn't sell the house.
Yes, you didn't get it sold. Absolutely. Next one. After you show your value, say this. And begin. It is at this point in my presentation that most clients get nervous and assume I charge 10% because I provide greater services and better results, right? Hey, Catherine, Alex, how are you? Good, thanks. We're just wrapping up, so we'll be. All right. Yeah, feel free, have a seat, get comfortable. Or
Have a brownie.
stand, whatever you like is fine.
Oh, we brought some.
You brought some treats? Oh, boy. This is
Liquid
exciting.
treats?
All right.
And I know that was an option.
Yes. How about this one? Ready, begin. Isn't it true that better doctors, attorneys, and accountants charge higher fees because they deliver better results? You're an expert, you're a professional, clearly. Look at all the marketing all over, hello, right? Next one, it's only 1%, right? You say, if the 1% difference is so important to you, why don't we do this? Let's raise the price 1% and have me work that much harder to get you full price.
Oh, that I love it.
Wow.
You love it.
Yes.
Right. That's, I've had sellers say that to me too. They say, I love it. That way we both get what we need and want, right?
Yes.
This one by far is the most powerful one. This is my go-to right here. Because what it does, it puts it in perspective for the seller.
Yeah.
That, and here's one I don't really have up here, but one that I've used before. I say, listen, why are you negotiating against me? I'm on your side. Like, we should be working together. Like, why are you trying to beat me up? I'm trying to help you. And I start laughing. I don't understand what's going on here. You're beating me up, and I'm the only one here trying to help you. Do you know that there are 1,348 members of the Worcester Association of Realtors, right? Central Mass Association of Realtors. And they're all working to get their client the best price. I'm the only one working to get you your price, and you want to beat me up on the brokerage fee? Let's go beat them up on the price and then get that back. How does that sound, right?
Yeah, nice.
It's only 1%. Okay, great. If it's so important to you, let's raise the price 1%.
I like that one.
Have me work that much harder to get it. They don't know what to say after, because you know what? That makes sense. That's logical, right? If emotion doesn't work, use logic. If logic doesn't work, use emotion.
Okay.
Seize the opportunity. Ready? Let's all read this one together. When a seller asks you to negotiate your fee, seize the golden opportunity you've been given to negotiate a higher fee and a bonus for the selling agent, or both. Reverse it. All right, guys? So here's some thoughts to remember. Wasn't that way better than role-playing? People like role-playing. So a lower fee is never synonymous with greater value, is it? Think about that. Anytime you've paid less money for something, did you expect to get more value out of it?
No.
Absolutely not. When you lower, you give away your only profit. Like, what you give away is what's left for you after you pay your taxes and your expenses. Remember, people that pay for things never complain. It's the guy you give something to that you can't please. Will Rogers. No good deed goes unpunished. Looking a gift horse in the mouth, right? There's a lot of quotes and sayings around this, you know? I remember I gave a car to someone and they complained to me about it. I'm like, I gave you the car. Well, it's making a ticking noise. I gave it to you for free. Well, I don't know. It's not running very well.
That sounds like a kid.
Oh my God, too funny. This didn't print out properly on the slide, and I don't know why. This should say secret weapon disclaimer.
It's
Yes.
printed correctly.
It is
It is printed, but it doesn't show
Weird.
up here. And I tried to fix it last night, and it still went back to this.
Weird.
So anyway, secret weapon disclaimer, there's no set commission. Commissions are negotiable. Agencies cannot set rates, and brokerages can have policies. I brought it up again now because here's what I'm going to show you, my secret weapons. And these are very, very powerful, and they work extremely well. I've been using these for 13 years now. It's my 13th year using these. And what I do is I'm putting these in the exclusive right to sell listing agreement. You ready? I write this in your agreement. If you notice, there's a huge box at the very bottom, right?
Yeah.
Stacy, you know what I'm talking about? And you can write stuff in there if you want. Well, I'm going to give you some stuff to write in there now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
And it's going to help you kill it when you go out there on a listing appointment. They're going to want to hire you and no one else, and they're going to want to pay you a higher fee. And here's how. The listing may be canceled by the seller at any time for any reason unconditionally. So when people say to me, well, what's the length of term on your agreement? I don't have one. Well, what do you mean? The other agents want 6 months, this guy wants 3 months. What's your contract? How long is your contract? I say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I don't think it's fair that my competitors ask you to sign an agreement, because after you sign that agreement, you're stuck with them even if they don't do their job. Do you think that's fair? And they go, no. I said, but every single standard exclusive right to sell agreement with every real estate agent and every company traps you and sucks you in. I'm the only agent, I think, that you'll meet where I have to earn here are the words I use. I have to earn your business every minute of every day. Because if I don't answer a call or a text message or do what I say I'm going to do, sometimes more and never less, you can fire me at any time. And that's after I've spent thousands of dollars in marketing your home. Now, what I'm doing here, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm putting the control where it belongs, with you, not with me. So doesn't that make you feel good about hiring me and my company to get the job done for you?
Contractual date on
Yeah.
that?
No, I put a date in there. So I put 6 months in the date. But I tell them, I
But you
said,
had this term in the additional one.
yes.
Okay.
I said, this supersedes the date in there, but I have to put a date in there. If I put, I can't leave it blank because
You have
it's
to
not
do
a
it for
correct
MLS.
form.
MLS has
I have
to
to
do it.
provide it for the multiple listing service, and I have to keep getting you to sign things to extend this date if we need to. So this just covers it all the way around. No one's ever objected to that, ever once. And I've listed and sold hundreds of properties with this on it. And so how do you think, when I go on a listing appointment and I stack all the value and then I show them this, what do you think the seller's feeling at that point? Oh, what have they got to lose? I tell them, I say, listen, you have nothing to lose. The only one that has to lose anything here is me. And I haven't determined whether or not I want to take your listing yet. I think I do, but that's going to depend on what we put in, what you want to sell it for. So we'll talk about that next, right? You see how I flipped the tables? I haven't decided if I want to take your listing yet.
I like that, yeah.
Well, let's keep working together. Let's keep talking. See if this is a good match for us both, okay? But this is, would you agree, guys? This is absolutely huge. Now, not all agents do this, and I've shown this to other agents, and guess what some agents feel about this? What do you think they say and feel?
I've done that verbally, I think, but I have never written it.
I tell them, I said, listen, every agent will tell you verbally,
What if
but
they
none of them will
cancel,
put it in
Tom?
writing.
What if they cancel?
That's part of what I tell them.
Yeah,
I
they
sa-
do.
I tell the sellers, I say, listen, every agent, if you call any of my competitors up right now and you ask them the question, they'll all say yes. But who's the only one putting it in writing and in front of you on your kitchen table right now? Who's the only one doing that? And they go,
You.
yeah. I said, if you have to ask, isn't that kind of telling you something? If you have to ask, isn't it
John, I
telling you?
use this from you, right? This is in
Yeah.
every one of my agreements. I've never had anybody use it.
No, ever. And I tell people, I said, no one's ever fired me. You know why? Because you have an opportunity to hold my feet to the fire. So do you think I'm going to work hard to not get fired? Of course I am. What about other agents? They can literally list your house, not do what they say they're going to do, and you're stuck with them, and you can't fire them and hire me until their contract expires. That's what my competitor's situation is doing. I use a formula called FBOT, right? It stands for fact, benefit, opposite, tie down. And you can use this to handle any objection. The fact is that I have no long-term contract, my competitors do. The benefit is that you're in control, not me, and you can feel comfortable that I'm actually going to do what I say I'm going to do, because if I don't, I can lose my job, right? The opposite is you hire my competitor and you're stuck with someone who isn't doing their job, and you can't get out of the contract and you miss out on the spring market. And the T stands for tie down. Doesn't it make sense to list your property with a company and agent that you can feel comfortable, secure, and confident that they're going to get the job done? Say yes. And sometimes I goof around with them. When they're not saying anything to me, I look at them, I'll say yes. And I start laughing. And they just laugh at me, and they're like, all right, clown.
Clown.
Secret weapon number 2, if the seller, I put this right underneath, I stacked these, by the way, on the exclusive right to sell agreement. I came up with this when I had a for sale by owner one time. They said, John, we really want to sell it ourselves to save the commission. And this was in Spencer, Massachusetts. And I was driving down Route 9 and I called them back on the phone and I had this idea. They didn't list with me. He was a contractor doing a flip. And I said, I'll tell you what, let's have a race. You can sell it, and if you sell it before me and you get the price you're comfortable with, you don't have to pay me. My fee is 0. But if I sell it, you do agree to pay me at a price that you're comfortable with, of course. Does that make sense? What do you think he said? I'm driving down Route 9 away from the appointment. What do you think he said to me?
I got nothing to lose.
Turn around,
Oh, yeah.
come back here, put that in writing, and you've got the listing. I sold it before he did at a price that he was happy with, and I got paid. See, the reason why agents aren't using this is they have fear and doubts, fear and doubts.
Yeah.
What if, John, what if,
They find somebody, John.
right?
John, how many times have they found somebody?
I like 0. Oh, no, on 2 occasions they did. I had, and this was literally, honest to God, over 15 years ago. And I had it happen in the same year, over 15 years ago. And one of them was they sold it to a neighbor and the other person sold it to a family member. Happened twice in 1 year. I sold 80 homes that year, 80, my team and I, 80 homes. So 2 out of 80, I think you got more win than lose in this situation.
This gets you listings you wouldn't have gotten, maybe.
Absolutely. And, the other thing that I do now is I say, listen, let's work together as a team. When they say, John, I got someone else that'll do it for 4 and you're charging me 6. Like, why would I list with you? I said, why are they charging you 4 and doing nothing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I said, what if I charge you 0? All right, what are you talking about? No, what if I charge you 0? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and spend thousands of dollars in marketing your property, virtual tours and everything. I'm going to give you the links to all these websites for the Matterport tour and everything. You're going to take these links and I want you to share them amongst your friends in social media and ask them to refer a buyer to you for your house. If you find the buyer and you don't want my help, you don't have to pay me anything and you can use my marketing to get the home sold for you.
Yikes.
How do you think they're feeling at that point? And you don't have to pay me. What am I doing here, guys? This is a no-brainer. I literally, honest to God, had a woman punch her husband in the arm really hard one time. We're standing outside talking about this, and he's like, well, I don't know, and I'm telling him all this stuff. And she walks up, she goes, what's going on? He's like, well, he's got this thing where she looked at him, and she goes, boom, and slugs him in the arm as hard as she can. She goes, it's a no-brainer. Just sign the frickin' thing. That's how she just said. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, okay. So, think about this. It's a no-brainer. Now, when they have this as an option, it literally strips away their need to want to, look, if you want a discount on the commission, forget about 4. How about 0? Do you like that price better? Here's how you can do that. And then I give them a plan on how to do it. You follow me on this?
That is crazy. That is insane.
That's crazy. Am I competing? Are my competitors doing this? Am I competing?
No?
No, absolutely not. Next item. If the seller finds a buyer and refers it to me, and there's no other agent involved, and I write the contract, and I walk it through the entire closing, the fee's only 2%. Why would you pay 4? You find the buyer and you don't want my help, it's 0. You find the buyer and you want my help, it's only 2. I had a property in Northbridge, a builder, did a rehab, flipping a house. He's outside taking out the trash on the property. Buyer pulls up, he goes, hey, were you interested in the house? Now, it was my marketing that drove them by the sign, right? And they go, yeah, well, we were thinking about it. We don't know. It's for our son. Long story short, the builder introduces me to the buyer and says, hey, it's 2%, right? Right? I'm like, yeah, I guess you found the buyer. Showed the buyer the house. I wrote up the contract over the phone. Never met the buyer. Wrote it up, and I was paid 2% on that particular listing. Guess what? Listed and sold 3 more properties with me after that.
Oh, nice.
But wait, there's another secret weapon, number 4.
What?
Just when you thought there weren't enough secret
What?
weapons, we got more secret weapons. if I or any member of my team finds the buyer and there's no other agent involved, the brokerage fee is only 5%. If another agent from another company finds the buyer, or within my company is what I say personally, if another agent finds the buyer, the brokerage fee for service is 6%, is only 6%, and I take a portion of that and pay it out to the buyer agent. You don't, and here's what I always say, because they always ask me, not always, but it's sometimes they ask, they say, well, wait a minute, do I have to pay the buyer agent on top of this? I said, no, no, no,
That's where
no.
it gets confusing
But I explain it.
yeah, because it's broken down twice. I always say that, you're not paying double.
Right. So then I say to them, look, here's the bottom line. The most you're gonna pay is 6% on the property. That's the most, right? The least is 0.
you
So you have
tell
this
them the-
whole range.
Did you tell them the most likely scenario?
Sometimes, very, very rarely, they ask me, they're like, well, what are the odds? I say, honestly, this is probably gonna happen most
Can I ask,
likely.
John, can I ask
Yeah.
you, for the number
This-
5?
Yeah, this is the second most likely thing to happen. This is the third most likely thing to happen. And this will probably never happen.
What do you-
That's
what
what
do
I
you-
tell them. And you know what? They respect my honesty. They're like, all right.
So you're saying there's a chance, though?
So you're saying there's a
Yeah.
chance?
No, John, in this market, they will find the buyer, so.
Maybe.
One in a million.
Yeah, they can get it, they can get the buyer. We should not
Yes.
use this at all.
One thing I've
Well,
been-
but hold
Weapon
on.
too.
But see the limiting belief, though,
I use
that
this
you
all the
have.
time.
Really?
Every
What's the
contract.
worst thing that could happen?
You use
You
it,
did,
yeah.
Every
but
contract.
You
listen,
showed me that now.
It's my boilerplate now.
you did it. I mean, aren't they gonna feel a moral obligation to help you in some capacity?
You use all of them?
Yep,
Yeah.
it's in the
I do
contract.
too. I've been using them for 13 years. I mean, I'm running, managing, recruiting, and handling a brokerage, and I listed and sold 38 homes last year on top of that. And I still managed to take my wife out every Friday night, right?
I'm wondering, because the way this is written, and, the likelihood of them doing that is very low, that you maybe should even ask for the 7% for the last secret weapon.
Well, let's talk about that. So, secret weapon. You can do anything you want, guys, but I'm telling you what works. I'm showing you how to
Yeah.
not compete. You didn't come here to learn what you already knew. You came here to be shocked and awed and learn something new and exciting. So for an additional 1%, the following service will be provided. You mean 1% on top of what? Any of the other 4 items that I mentioned, okay? So if you want, we can provide, I will pay personally for the home warranty. I will pay for a staging consultation. I will pay a cleaner to come in here and clean up, not do a trash out, but do a cleaning of your house after you move out, so you don't have to. You load up the U-Haul, the truck, and you don't have to sweep and mop and spray the counters. Like, I'm gonna take care of all that stuff for you. Concierge services. Well, I'm gonna set up and make calls for you for the water and the sewer and the electrical, and I'm gonna go to the post office and get your transfer of your address and get all that stuff done for you. Landscaping. What's included in that is just mowing the lawn, maybe a cleanup right before the closing, so you don't have to deal with that while you're trying to pack the kids in the truck and all that other good stuff. Drone photography, brochure box, the list goes on and on. You can put whatever you want there. Okay?
I usually pay
Matterport.
for them to have their house cleaned before it goes on the market.
Yeah.
That saves, and then I pay for the smokes, like to get them up to snuff.
Oh, that's another great idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're permanent.
Nice. That's a great, I love that, Stace. That's great. So moving on, 4 last points. Clients don't want to give away, they don't want you to give away their profit. Most people are nice people. They understand that you have to make a living. Most of them are. You need to earn blank amount of dollars so you're not living out of balance.
Turn right.
I mean, you could be working for nothing very easily in this industry if you're not focusing on your process. 4 last points. The best way to protect your commission is to provide outstanding value, so it's a no-brainer. And you're better off to turn them down than to let yourself down. All right, guys? So here's what I'm going to leave you with. There are people less qualified than you doing the things that you want to do simply because they decided to believe in themselves. So I'm leaving you with the thought of believe in yourself. You got this. Period. You can do this. All right, guys? So thank you. That's my presentation for today.
Thank you, John.
I have a thought.
Did Did you guys get some value out of this?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Nice. Tell your friends.